My father didn't believe in my own success till the Tatas didn't want to invest in my business. 50% of everybody's LinkedIn is fake. It's a fact. Yeah. And all those who come from corporates don't know hiring at all because they have a terrible function called HR over there. He had put 26 lakhs, I bought him for 56 crores without having 5 rupees in my bank as well. So I would have still been a rich guy and 100 crores of cash in my bank. I would have been a richer guy now,
I think just some quick stats. Caratlane is now almost 4,000 crore in annual revenue.
Yeah, this year will be.
This year, and it's amazingly profitable. Yeah. Close to 300 stores.
Yeah, 275.
275, and I think you guys started
store opening in New York now. So, we have
taking the fight to them.
We have a $10 million business in US without a single person in US. So we felt it was time now to do that from that perspective. And I think that Caratlane has the opportunity if Titan so thinks. I have nothing to do with Caratlane anymore. They bought me off. So, but I'm always around if they ever need. They have the opportunity to be the world's largest direct-to-consumer jewelry business. I think that's the dream at least we had. But now it's their dream. So let's see.
So I think going back in time, when you started Caratlane, right, back in 2007, 8, so in the beginning, you were trying to set up offline store of your own family business in outside of Chennai, right?
Yeah.
But then you said, I want to start something new. I want to start something potentially very, very big. And you zeroed in on Caratlane. And then you said that, let's do it online.
Yeah.
What was the thought process there? What made you believe at that point of time that jewelry could be sold online? And what changed which prompted you to dramatically shift your strategy?
Yeah. There's a philosophical answer and there's a real answer as well. The philosophical answer is very well written by Scott Fitzgerald, who I enjoy reading, The Great Gatsby and a bunch of other stuff. Says that in your 20s, you see the world from top of a mountain. Every opportunity is a rolling stone. In your 50s, you want to sit. It's actually 40s, but I say 50s. In your 50s, all you want to do is protect what you have. So you don't think so much in your 20s about whether this will play out or not play out. Common wisdom was this will not play out. But in my head, I felt that the amount people were browsing and looking at Google and searching for images and how we were also searching ourselves for ideas, etc., that if one can structure this whole thought better, it'll happen. That was one part. Second was, see, I come from a family business, as you mentioned, and that business was building out. And I had a really successful business built in Chennai, which I moved to Chennai to build that. In 2007, I was doing about 80 to 100 crores of revenue in my family business over there, which by no means in those days was small amount of revenue. It was a reasonably good size revenue, very profitable business as well also. So we were doing that. Now the problem was that entire revenue was coming from about 600-700 customers on that. So I went to another city. I opened a store in Coimbatore in 2007. And it took me 7 years worth of profit to be able to open the next store. And that's the amount of capital that was needed. Gold price was rising, so more capital is needed as well, all of that stuff. The family didn't have a DNA to borrow money and be able to build. Now, your ambition is here, but your resources are here. So now you want to match these two. So I say, okay, if I can't invest in inventory, let me look at the internet. The internet can be a place where everybody discovers me. And I know how to make jewelry. So after I get an order, I'll make just-in-time, I'll manufacture the product and then ship it across to people. So I built a 5-day just-in-time manufacturing system, which didn't exist in India. Everything was about 30, 40 days as well also. So the combination of these things, you're young, so you believe you can do anything in the world. Second, that you're successful in the first thing you did, or at least in your mind you're successful. You think the future belongs to the internet, and do it from that point on. Third is that I don't have the money to do it, so the best way to do it is go on the internet, because I thought building a website is cheap, and I thought I'll start over there. So you sort of get on without much homework and everything, only because I'm in my late 20s and I was hungry. Vicious, and find the right people and sort of build that out going. I can tell you the first 3 years was a nightmare after that, so, but begun on the journey. So.
No, I think it's a good reminder that it's very important to start off.
Yeah.
If you have the right ambition, if you have the right hunger, and if you are largely in a large enough space, then the starting point usually is not the same as end point. So, going back to Caratlane, things were going well. You were zeroed in on your customer segment. What was the original reason why you decided to break Titan or, Tanishq on board? And how did that, were there any cultural clashes? I mean, you were building a startup. They are from an outside and very large corporate. And then how did that culminate into, you actually stepping out of the business and saying that, I want to do something else?
Let me start with the reverse. I didn't say that. They threw me out. No. So they bought me out.
No, I meant that, basically from a chronological point of view.
No, are you saying leaving my family business to start or leaving Caratlane?
Leaving Caratlane.
Actually, leaving Caratlane was not my decision. Okay. It was their decision. Oh. Because they felt the value is rising so fast that in the future, if they don't want to let me IPO, they will not be able to buy me out. The value will become too high as well also. And, to be fair to them, they own majority of the business and they have a right if they want to own the business as well also. See, my investor was Tiger Global, possibly the most marquee firm in our time, at least, to raise capital from. But the problem was that Tiger was going through its own difficulties. Flipkart was not playing out the way they wanted Flipkart to play out in 2016. So that was creating pressure on everybody else as well also from Tiger to some extent. I had just raised money, I got money in December 2015, and the Titan transaction, just to give you a sense, happened in May 2016. So I had all the money in the world. So that was not the reason ever to do it. But every time I used to raise money, I used to go to Titan and see that would they be interested to invest. Almost every Indian has a fascination with Tatas. It's not it's not something that we don't have. My father didn't believe in my own success. Still, the Tatas didn't want to invest in my business. So I could see tears in his eyes, when he saw a picture of me with them and everything else like that. For him, it was like the
biggest validation.
Yeah, biggest validation of whatever I'm doing. Because they don't believe in loss-making businesses at all on that. Yeah. Having said that, 200 crores in your bank cannot give you this answer that you guys just gave me. The trust that Tatas have in their name is not something that 200 crores of advertising can ever create for you at all. So I thought that is the right partnership to have, because jewelry's biggest convincing factor in somebody's mind is trust. So in every, people around the world follow something called value migration. We don't care if we win or not. What we don't want in life is we must not lose. Basis of this principle is built every luxury brand, which says that my quality is the highest, and so I charge a premium on that one. As long as they don't break that tenet, you're fine. And with Tatas, you don't expect that tenet to break at all. If something goes wrong also, they'll fix it on that. I had fascination as well, and I did that part. Now, the deal happened in 2016, to your question on the second part of it, which is assimilation. I expected that they would do a lot. I would get their factories and we discuss everything. But, it's such a large chain that the guy on top thinks, guys below will do everything. When you go to the guys below, he says, what's in it for me? Tata is only one guy. Everybody else is batata over there. So it just went for a complete toss. And for a year and a half, I was in complete turmoil. I could not understand, what did I sign up? I was expecting all this help and I'm getting absolutely no help. And there was a gentleman who I consider my greatest ally in life, who passed away, unfortunately, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. I went to him at that point in 2018 and I said, I want to sell this business. Things are not going well. And I had this investor who would put 26 lakhs in Caratlane. He was actually, to me, I only thought of him as a co-founder, though he never worked at Caratlane. But for me, mentally, he was a co-founder on that. Srinivasa Gopalan. And he also said that, no, Mithun, we should sell. We made enough money. We would have made, I think we would have gone off with I would have gone off with 150 crores at that point, and he would have made a 50 crores at that point. So I went to Rakesh and said, I want to sell it. Tell me, how do I go about it? Whatever. He told me that night, and he had no reason to do it. He could have bought that shares because he owned Titan anyways, a large percentage. So he could have bought it and said, hey, what a fool, buy it and do it. That night he called me and had a couple of other interesting people from share market who were his friends who understand investing very well, who were there as well also, legends of the space. He told me to narrate what I am building, etc. I narrated to them what I'm building. And they explained to me the power of compounding. They explained to me various things. Guys like, guys own Motilal Oswal, Ramdev Agarwal, and Mr. Damani, and all of these guys. So I'm sitting in this august company in awe of everything. And I leave from there convinced that if my co-founder wants to sell, I should be ready to buy him out by taking debt. I came to sell something and I left with that conviction itself also. And that's the day one statement he told me, the problem is not them, the problem is you. You are expecting them to help you, but they have their own business to run. And Irina was the other person who told me that as well also. And so they have their own business to run. And so focus on your own problems and assume they don't exist and build your business. That's the day I think everything got rewired in my mind and I started rebuilding again. I took debt and I bought out my co-founder. He had put 26 lakhs. I bought him for 56 crores without having 5 rupees in my bank as well also. That's the bet I took. But the bet paid off because that 56 crores became 1,200 crores for me in 4 years. A mad bet to take. One should never take that kind of bet. But I met a crazy guy that week as well also who used to take all kinds of bet, Kishore Biani. And so he told me to do that. But the only difference was that Rakesh gave me a check and said that go buy it, we'll solve it in life later. I felt very awkward about how do I take money without having anything, solved with him. So I went to the Tatas and they gave me against my own shares. They gave me a loan against it. And then we settled it a year later by selling part of that equity as well. But that defining moment told me that I will never raise money again. I will focus on every aspect of my business, which is the consumer, and work from there. Not that Tatas will help me, not that a VC will help me, not that somebody else is there in my life. Because otherwise the journey of an entrepreneur, the minute you start raising money, is to think about where am I going to raise money again as well also. And that used to be our journey in those days. Because there is an horrible newspaper in India which will only publicize when you raise capital on this. And now all newspapers have become horrible because they only publicize when you raise capital. So we took this deep, swim underwater. From 2018, we never made it to any newspaper or anything else like that till 2023 because we never raised money. And everybody thought we died. And, so we went about just focusing on the consumer, solving for that, focusing on our cash flow, solving for that. Because I realized at that point, you don't need money from an investor to build a business. You want money to buy inventory? There are suppliers. You want to build stores? You can create franchisees. You have to put yourself in shoes of all of those people and make a win-win proposition for everybody. Once you've created that, you can actually build that. So imagine I had 99 crores in my bank. My turnover was 300 crores at that point. I was still losing 50 crores a year at that point. To the point of 4,000 crores, and we never raised capital again. Because we only then understood what is cash flow management. And we had not understood the power of that till then as well. So I think you need jolts like that in your life where you expect a lot from people and then you get a reality check. And once you take that reality check in the right frame of mind, in the right way, you'll solve for it. If you don't take it in the right way, I would have sold it and gone home. I would have still been a rich guy and 100 crores of cash in my bank. I wouldn't have been a richer guy now, So,
I mean, 100 crores is rich by any relative means.
I agree.
But obviously, 2,000 crores is
5,000.
And I can only think up to 2,000 at this point of time. So, no, but thank you for sharing that. I think that the power of focusing on the business and the consumer and making sure that cash flow prudence comes into the decision making very, very quickly is critical. And I think,
And taking the blame on yourself, not others. I was blaming Titan at that point.
they are not helping me do.
They are not helping. They promised and they did all this. The blame belongs to me. I made the decision to partner Titan. It was not that they made the decision alone to partner me. I made the decision as much to partner them. If it doesn't play out also, it's my decision.
Yeah.
We have this habit, you invest in a stock also and it doesn't do well because somebody else gave you a tip on it. You say, hey, because of that guy, I lost money. But who pressed the button?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Makes sense. And then from that point, I think this journey would not have been possible without a set of great people in your team, right?
Oh, yeah.
So in hindsight, what do you think are the top two attributes, or I don't want to call them qualities, I want to call them attributes, because skills and everything are learned over a period of time, right? And we are all learning all the time.
Yeah.
So what are those two base attributes of the best people you ended up, working with at Caratlane, which which as an advice we can give to the cohort to emulate?
I find it hard to do it in two. If you don't mind, I'm going to elaborate a little more than that because that's the method in my mind as well also. And that's my interview process in a way as well also. I don't look for... there are two kinds of roles we look for people. There's a set of role for generalists and there's a set of roles for specifics as well. So in the specifics category, I look for extraordinary skill set in the specific activity that they do. In the generalist category, I look for massive team management ability that they want to do. I look for words that they use a lot. How much of it in the interview or in their biodata or everything, because I understand that 30% of every biodata is fake on that. It's a fact. And 50% of everybody's LinkedIn is fake. It's a fact. You have to live with these things as well. So you can't get annoyed with it and everything else like that. But that's the fact. When it comes down to an interview, the entire question and conversation is to solve for a certain set of things for me. One, the ability, how much does that person have to build and grow as a team? It's a very, very important trait to have. The more a person is talking about himself and his ability and what he did in that, that is a very challenging person to have. Second, if I'm hiring for a role, let's say I'm hiring for digital marketing, I will want to imagine and see if this guy can speak the vocabulary of the next role when he has to grow, which is, let's say he's a head of all marketing.
Right.
If you cannot speak the vocabulary of that role, which is the team building vocabulary more than anything else, I will not want this guy in my team as well also. Because the best test of somebody who goes on to the next role is that he's the enabler of everybody else below. An organization is misunderstood to be a pyramid in which the leader sits on top. It's still a pyramid, but it's inverted. Everybody below is enabling every single person sitting on top, which is getting wider, to go and do what they need to do. That is the organization culture that you ideally want to build. And so everybody takes joy right from below, taking joy in what the guy right on top is going to deliver as well also. So when you are that enabler, you have left the space of ego because the front end belongs to the front end team.
Yeah.
The front end doesn't belong to the leader itself also. And you got to exhibit that through your own self as well also. So, for example, no store opening at Caratlane I've never been to a store opening of Caratlane as well. So, right? A consumer will only open a store. It will never be a celebrity. It is never anything else like that. We've had that one time at the beginning and we realized it's wrong. And so we don't do that stuff. You don't give undue weightage or advantage to anybody else in the organization at all. Everybody is treated equally. You work with that part. If you want to build a startup organization, a thought process, people who ask and say, I want to be vice president, I want to be general manager, his designation is this, All those who are obsessed by designation and not obsessed by role are not designed for this environment.
Yeah.
We're very, very clear about that. I say, you want to write CEO, you can write CEO. I don't care. Write whatever it was as well also. But your role is what matters to me, and this is the role that it is, and the role is what we paid for. I've had somebody who the day he joined was vice president, and the day he left, I mean, he's going to leave soon, is also vice president today also on that. So his designation never changed, but his role changed massively, and his, obviously, salary and his ESOPs, etc., all put together was something else. The more conversation you have with people who are looking for these things, they are designed for a different outfit. They're designed for the corporate world. They're not designed for this world at all. And it's very important to find people who are obsessed about consumer problems, who are willing to fight with you about it. But once they fight with you, they're willing to commit with you. Your test for an interview has to make them almost uncomfortable to that point. And then see after the uncomfortable point, are they still willing to commit to you or not? If the test and if your questions are very comfortable for somebody to answer and do that part, you've done a horrible job in interviewing someone.
How many people here want to start something of their own in the next 3 to 4 years? Right. So I'll use that as a base for our question. So almost everybody here is going to attempt to start a business while here at Mesa. We call that Mesa Startup Lab. And you're a founder, you've invested in several startups. What framework would you want to leave them with to evaluate new opportunities from a lens that it can actually become a viable opportunity? Maybe not exactly like a VC investable opportunity, but like a real business opportunity. Like what are those 2-3 things that you look for when you look at any new space or any founder coming up to you saying that we are trying to do this?
Yeah, I'm glad you said not a VC investor.
Not essentially.
Yeah, because many times they are only looking for things which are already proven somewhere else in the world on that. So, there are every day, every single moment that you walk in your life, you encounter problems. The ability to see these problems and think of what is the solution for it, and then how many people will be desirous to pay for that solution, is the way I would like to think about it. The nature of the problem, the solution of the problem, the size of people who are willing to pay for solving that problem as well also on that. If you can sort of map these structures that way and do that, I think you will be able to find a very meaningful outcome to the way you're thinking about it itself also. That becomes a good basis to sort of build things out. It's not necessary that you will charge them, because there are many more ways of people paying for it at least. But that only works when your problem is solving for 100 crore people. Yeah. It doesn't work when it doesn't solve for that many number of people. But otherwise, in most cases, it's that linear thought process. What problem I encounter, the solution I create is easy for how many people. Can I create that? And an X and a Y axis, which says why will customer buy, why will customer not buy? Why will supplier supply? Why will supply work? Why will supply not work? If you put just these two frameworks, life becomes very simple and easy for me at least to understand that.
No, very helpful. So basically starting with a linear process.
Yeah.
Like who's the customer? What's their problem? How will you solve that problem? And then if you solve it, will they pay you for it?
Yeah.
And then that math of how many such customers exist and how much will they pay roughly?
Correct. Because many times what happens, you think of a problem and it's not a problem for which I'm willing to pay you, but it's a feature in a product, and that feature itself is not a business.
Yeah.
But for a product to launch that feature, it makes sense.
Right.
Chatbots, in my mind, is like that. If I'm using a fresh desk or something, I can take the chatbot from there, but I won't have a separate integration of a chatbot and last for very long in that business. But many people thought it will be a business itself also and sort of create that part. Take jewelry for that matter. Ear piercing, I don't think is a large enough business itself, but it's a good feature in a jewelry business to have.
Right.
And sort of make that happen as well also. So you have to be able to also see this. Everybody will want a ear piercing. 100 crore Indians will want ear piercing as well also on that. But is there value enough, economic value sufficiently enough that you can make a business out of it? No. But it's a good feature for a jewelry business to have. So when last thing on Caratlane, we thought that that's the way to think about it. And we wanted to know when is the first birthday of a child. So if you go for ear piercing, which happens when a child is born, you will know when the first birthday comes as well also. So I made a free service in people's home, and now we do 100 a day, across India. So it sort of becomes that feature which makes your product. So it will be very clear to be able to distinguish between feature and product as well also.
Got it. What's the core product or core solution, and what is an add-on, additional feature, or
Don't make an add-on so that you think that's the business, but that's only a feature.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So very helpful.
Thank you
so much, Mithun. Thank you so much.